What's up? Hey, hello, everyone. Wow. So today we are back going to be talking about the challenge season 36 Double Agents episode 7. And I didn't mess up the intro this time. So my name is Rachel.
I'm Alyssa, and I feel pretty validated because basically what happened this episode was what we said would happen last episode, and we got it right, which kind of sucked because I didn't really want us to be right, but also it's kind of nice to be right, even if it is about something you don't want to be right about. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think, like we said last week, Jay pulling that move with Teresa, sort of double-edged sword, and it did bite him in the butt quicker than it is going to bite Teresa in the butt because Jay is sent home this episode. So sort of sucks, obviously, because we are Survivor fans, but also yay for the outcome of the episode because another worthy competitor got their gold skull. But yeah, basically what we said last week happened, and honestly, it happened a lot sooner because we were like, oh, maybe one or two guys' eliminations, but literally immediate blowback. So really sucks for Jay.
Yeah, and I think it also sucks for Jay because I think he might have actually had a way out of this, but then the guys just suck. So I guess what I'm saying is I think that maybe if TJ hadn't discounted all of the guys' votes when they were deciding which agents were compromised, then Devin might have been the guy sent down to the pit because he got into another fight or three other fights. I couldn't really tell with the editing how many distinct instances there was of fighting. But anyways, a bunch of the guys, especially the guys from the Big Brother Alliance, were pissed off at Devin. But because the guys in the challenge basically just didn't even try, TJ disqualified all of their votes. And so I don't know for sure because they didn't show us everything, but I think that maybe if the guys' votes hadn't been disqualified, then maybe Devin would have gone down instead. I wouldn't say for sure, but it's a possibility.
Oh, I guess that's interesting. I feel like I was under the assumption that the people, it was like 12 votes or whatever on the screen when Casey and Leroy won the challenge, when they got to see the double agent status, that those were 12 minus the 5 people who didn't participate in the challenge, still had the majority over like Devin or Michi or whoever would have been like the second most highest paired of votes. So I felt like I was sort of under the assumption that it was Jay going in before TJ announced it, and it was also Jay going in after TJ announced it at the crater, which I feel like if it did change the outcome of like who got sent into the crater, it would have been a little bit like cheatering on the side of production because obviously production didn't plan for all the people not to participate in the daily challenge. And then, oh, someone that you like in Jay got voted in with the house vote, and then you're just like, let's disqualify some of these votes, and then Jay suddenly doesn't get to go in anymore. It feels a little bit like production trying to like cheat the system if it did change the outcome of the votes.
Well, I was thinking that it would have changed the outcome in Jay's or oh, I see what you mean. But yeah, but I feel like why even announce that you disqualified some votes if it didn't change the outcome?
Yeah, I guess we have to go back and watch the tape.
It would have been more than 5 votes, right? Because the entire first group of 5 guys didn't do anything. And then in Jay and Leroy's group, it was basically only the two of them who fought. So that would have been 8 votes of
Yeah,
guys.
I guess we need. Is it just the first heat that got their votes disqualified? TJ didn't say. He's just like whoever didn't participate. So that's another thing. Like, we have no idea.
Didn't participate, and then he said at another point, it made it sound like to me that Leroy and Jay's votes were the only guys' votes that were counted. But that could also just be the way I was interpreting things. But
yeah, so I feel like
why announce it if it doesn't change anything?
Yeah, I guess we're on opposite sides. I felt like I was under the assumption he announced it and it didn't change anything, and like it was only the first heat that got their votes discounted, because I guess the second heat, like Michi still fell off of it. So does that count in like the numbers or not? So I don't know. It's a really hot mess, I feel like, considering me and you interpreted this episode differently, even though we're watching the same episode. So you all watching our podcast right now, definitely let us know. Did you think it was Jay and then Jay going in, or maybe did the disqualification of votes change things? I guess now it's sort of confusing.
Yeah, and I'm sure that the information is out there somewhere. Like I think MTV does like a challenge podcast after show type thing. So maybe one of us will have to listen to that and see if they mention it, just because it just seems very strange to me to give them a punishment that isn't actually changing anything. Because then it's
Yeah.
like, that's not actually a punishment, especially because they didn't tell them until after they had already voted.
See, that's why I felt like it was sort of cheating if it did. Jay was sent in, then it helped Jay to not get sent in because then it could just be production trying to help Jay out because they like Jay for some, like, you know.
Well,
So
I
I
was
felt like,
thinking that it was Devin who would have been sent in. And then because a lot of the people who would have voted for Devin, like Fessy and Josh, were DQ'd, then it would have been Jay sent in instead of Devin.
yeah, I guess
I don't know though.
depends if what Casey and Leroy saw was the like after disqualification or the pre-disqualification votes, and then people could like do the math to figure it out. But on the after show, like YouTube podcast that the challenge does, they didn't mention the votes.
That's just like so many questions. I feel like sometimes I get caught up in these questions about like the behind the scenes stuff, and I wish that I could just be a casual viewer. But it's cool.
But yeah, you know, since we did have two different thoughts of how this episode went down, like things could have really gotten changed because of this vote disqualification, which I'm just sort of like, about, because yes, I do think they should have done something to people that don't participate in the daily challenges. Like we saw last week with the like capsule running challenge, we were saying, oh, the last team should get some kind of punishment if you're not going to try. Same like we saw this week, like if you aren't going to try, it should be something like you get automatically thrown into the crater, or like the bottom 3 teams are up for elimination, something like that to incentivize people to participate. Because like, I get it, you know, it's ice cold water, you don't want to fall in, you don't want to accidentally get hurt or something like that. So like if you're not up for like elimination, you have your alliance members and they're not going to throw you in, might as well not participate. But I think because of that, it incentivizes people to not do anything and not participate.
It is also like, I don't want to say unfair, but it's kind of sucky that one of the only teams that did participate was was the team that then had one of its members get sent home. Because it's like, you want to send home one of the only guys who actually like gives a damn about the game. That's so dumb, especially because it seems like especially Josh and Fessy only give a damn about the game when Devin is insulting them. So
Yeah, so we start this episode off with everyone mad about the last week's happening. So they're mad at Jay and Teresa. Same thing like last week. I was still confused. Like, why are Corey and Kyle so super mad? Because it's like everyone is sort of doing this same kind of thing, but also everyone was like super, super sure that last week was going to be a female elimination day. So even sending the guy partners down there, like they were pretty sure it was going to be a girls' day. So like, it's not really much sweat off your back if you're not even going into the challenge. And so Leroy says that he can't trust Jay going forward. And basically that sets up the whole entire episode. And I feel like Teresa, if she just sort of chilled out and let things blow over, like we saw, she said at the beginning of the episode, like a day in the challenge is like a year, or like a year. So like the timing is different. Things happen, things blow over. I think if she just chilled out and like laid low this week, then I feel like Jay could have been safer.
yeah, and I think it's funny because like a lot of people were saying that it was Teresa's fault that Jay was in danger. So like I felt bad for Jay because obviously this is only his second time on the challenge. On his first time, I feel like he got a really bad run because he was a rookie and was like actually trying to play the game. And so I guess one like random aside is I am really glad that the rookies this season are playing the game and are being like allowed to play the game, I guess, without the like vets just stomping on them. But like Jay doesn't know as much about the challenge as like I would say Teresa should. So I guess it's just one of those things where he's still learning challenge strategy, which is very different from like survivor strategy. And Yeah, I just felt bad because I do feel like there is a way Jay could have gotten through this, especially because there was so much fighting later in the episode. And if there hadn't been, there was this whole drama where, like, somehow people thought that Teresa wanted Darrell out of the game. And so that whole drama was part of the reason why Amber B held on so tightly during the daily mission. And since Casey and Leroy only won the daily mission by 1 second, I feel like if Amber B had been like a little less about holding on, maybe Jay and Teresa would have won and wouldn't have had to go into the pit. And I don't know. I just felt bad because this whole situation felt avoidable. And like I said, I kind of thought it sucked that one of the only guys specifically actually playing the game got sent home.
100% avoidable. I agree. I think, especially if Jay just listened to his gut, like we saw him have confessionals last week saying, oh, I think I'm like messing myself up. I'm not trusting my instinct anymore. Like, if he just gave Kyle and Corey the heads up, and the after show, they were like saying, like, Jay was like giving them a wink kind of thing, like, oh, you're going in, but like his wink is just really bad or something. So they didn't get the message. It's like sort of weird, convoluted, but like if you just went up straight face to them, like, yo, you're going in, rather than trying to do like a wink on the bus over to the crater, like things could have been different. So I agree. And so at the start of the episode, I guess also we see the Teresa and CT chat, which sort of basically alludes to the rest of the episode and the rest of the drama, where Teresa is having some coffee chat with CT, and Teresa is like, yeah, we need to vote out Darrell soon. We don't want to go against Darrell. CT agrees, but also I feel like that's CT's whole like mantra is like play the middle, agree with everyone. And so maybe he's thinking like, yeah, I don't want to go against Darrell because he's a 4-time challenge champ in the back of his head. But also, if you don't have the numbers, like nothing is going to happen.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because from his confessional, it seems like CT actually did want to get Darrell out eventually because Darrell has won all of the finals that he's been in, which I guess is 4 finals. And so it's like CT really did want to get Darrell out, but it seems like he doesn't think now is the time to get Darrell out, and he would rather screw over Teresa and Jay than like get Darrell out right now, I guess. So.
Yeah, I agree. I was just sort of annoyed this whole episode because, like, I don't really like this whole mob mentality thing. Like, okay, everyone dislikes Jay and Teresa right now because of what happened last week. Like, oh, everyone disliked Fessy after Fessy going in, like, versus Nelson. But I feel like the difference between, like, Fessy doing the move, CT making a move, is that, like, people are more afraid of Fessy and CT. So, like, Fessy sort of got off scot-free with like Corey. We see Corey and Fessy chat this episode and do some kind of like pseudo apology there. But it's like Jay, because he's smaller and he like messed up a little bit, now everyone is doing this mob mentality against them, which I do get, because like if it's not your name, if you're not Jay or Teresa, like you would totally want to hop on that train and be like, yeah, I hate them, let's vote them in. But just sort of feels bad when everyone is against you and you really can't do anything. Your back's up against the wall.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of those things where, like, mob mentality, I guess, like, I get it, but also it shouldn't be one of those things where there's nothing anyone can ever do to redeem themselves. Because it's like they said during the party that, like, oh, Jay and Teresa just are never coming back. And I'm like, why does making one mistake mean that the rest of your game is totally screwed? Especially because, like you said, it's not evenly applied. So I guess that was kind of frustrating, especially because Josh and Fessy, I feel like, make the same mistakes over and over and over. Like, just, I'm annoyed about the fighting. Just, like, to throw that out there, it just seems so stupid that they keep getting in fights. But
that's the drama of the episode, I guess. But yeah, people aren't necessarily afraid of Jay, which I feel like it's sort of odd. And people were talking about them wanting to save Jay. Like they're saving Michi for an easy elimination, for an easy gold skull. But at least like with Jay, I feel like saving him for a later elimination to have an easy skull is sort of a weird way, because we've seen Jay perform. He's been like second, first, third, top 3 in the past few challenges. Like, you know, he performed well last season. So I feel like he's a viable competitor. So like saving him for a later elimination or not being as scared of him as Fessy. I feel like they have their strengths and weaknesses that are just different. Like Fessy could totally dominate Jay in a physical elimination, but I would say Jay would beat Fessy at a puzzle. We saw Jay do that 9-piece slide puzzle in Millennials versus Gen X so fast.
Yeah, I guess it's like, it kind of annoys me that the challenge focuses so much on the physical challenge part of it, especially because like the guys didn't even do their physical challenge this episode, when it's like everyone has to at least try a puzzle. So I don't know. I do think that people don't think about it in that way, which is annoying because I feel like people should respect Jay's game more. And also, like, even if Fessy might be able to like beat Jay in like a hall brawl type scenario, it's not like Jay isn't physically strong. So I don't know. I don't understand why people aren't threatened by Jay. Just because he is really good at puzzles, he's more physically strong than you would think. I don't know.
I feel like very similar body type, sort of like to Jordan even, and like Jordan's really strong, even though they're like shorter and like leaner kind of thing. I don't know. So I'm on the same page. It's sort of weird. So we go into the daily mission, which is aerial takedown. Similar thing to like multiple challenges that we've talked about this season in the past for their daily missions. I think it looks cool on paper, but in reality, it didn't really play out like we were expecting. If all of the people participated, and I feel like that first guys heat of Kyle, Fessy, Darrell, Nam, and Devin would have been so bomb. Like it would have been so cool because those are all some like pretty heavy hitters. It would have been cool to see them all try to knock each other off of the cargo net, but like when people aren't participating and like, I don't know, it wasn't cool in person to watch.
I think it's also harder to watch because of like the way that it's filmed, because they had like a camera tracking the cargo net thing, but you can't really tell people apart because they're all wearing the exact same outfit. And then they also had like GoPros mounted to people's helmets, but those were also like really shaky because people are obviously moving around. So I feel like that wasn't the best challenge to film, and because it was hard to film, it was also hard to watch without even considering that some people didn't try. So
yeah, so Casey is the first women's winner, and then we go to Heat 2 where they big chill. Nam has a confessional saying he doesn't want to be the first person to start to fight because then you'll get a target. And I was like, okay, good job, Nam. Like that's actually some really smart thinking. If everyone else is going to like play dead and not do anything, you really don't want to be the first person to start it.
yeah, but also it's like if no one is willing to be the first person to start it, then you get what happened where no one does anything.
So yeah, the third heat was Teresa, Amber M, Amber B, Gabby, and Lolo. Also could have been a really cool heat. And I feel like Teresa was getting a lot of slack here. Like, why is Teresa like gaming all of the rookies? Why is Teresa telling all the rookies to jump off? Like, that's so bad. Teresa's so sneaky kind of thing. But honestly, I feel like if you were in Teresa's position, like trying to have your alliance, have your friends, have your rookie people friends, like fall off in order to have one person win to help you, honestly, that's like the smartest kind of strategy, because I felt like when TJ said, okay, the fastest time to knock off all of your competitors win the double agent status this episode, it makes sense to strategize and say, okay, everyone jump off and I can win in 2 seconds. And then there we go, bingo, like you're going to win the daily challenge.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where if it's something that your alliance does, that's fine. It would have been different if she was like trying to strong arm people into doing it, but it was like an alliance thing. So
yeah, so I mean, I thought it was good of Amber B because she heard the whisperings of her partner Darrell maybe getting thrown into the crater this week, that she didn't go along with Teresa's plan. So I thought that was good. I was honestly a little bit nervous for like Amber B and Darrell because they literally got a lot of screen time this episode from having like very, very little screen time in all the previous episodes. I was like, uh-oh, you know, like Amber B or Darrell are getting thrown in this week. Like this isn't good. But I think this was a really good like coming out episode for Amber B since we haven't really seen much of her so far.
Yeah, I was kind of worried about that too. And I wish that it hadn't been as much like about them being eliminated, especially because I feel like Darrell and Amber B were never like seriously talked about to be thrown in.
Yeah, so the final guys heat is Jay, Leroy, Michi, CT, and Josh. Michi just sort of tried. He like sort of flopped in really early, which was sort of funny. We see Jay and Leroy going at it, so like that was really cool. But honestly, when I saw this lineup, I was like, CT is probably going to win this because he's just going to hold on and like not do anything, so he's going to win it. So yeah, that Heat 4 also got disqualified. So it was really only down to Casey versus Teresa to win the 1 second thing. And I was like, dang, sucks for Jay and Teresa to lose by 1 second after losing by like 15 seconds on the swinging, falling rope one that they lost to like 2 episodes ago. So I was like, sucks.
Yeah, it does suck.
What are you gonna do? So it would have been cool to see Jay and Teresa win because I think it would have been more spicy if like Jay and Teresa had like 2 weeks in a row of their reign of terror of like throwing people in without telling people what they're doing for more drama. But like not gonna happen. And I think the worst possible thing for Jay was that Leroy was in that winner's circle because of Cam getting thrown in last week. Leroy has a little vendetta out for Jay.
Yeah. And like it was cool to see someone like actually put themselves in to get a gold skull rather than like throwing someone else in. But I was kind of sad that it was Leroy against Jay. So
Yeah, so I guess before we get to the crater elimination, Alyssa alluded to it already, but we see Devin stirring stuff up. It was sort of funny in a way, but also sort of annoying. I feel like it's just funny because it's Devin poking the bear at Fessy and Josh. I think if Devin were like picking fights and like with people that the fans really like, I think people would be giving Devin so much hate, like, oh, that's so annoying. But I feel like because it's against Fessy and Josh, it's less annoying.
I still think it's kind of annoying, but you know, I think it's more annoying to me because it's the exact same thing we saw earlier this season. It had the exact same consequences, which is basically zero consequences. So it's just why?
It's literally fights about nothing. I wrote in my notes, I was like, what is this fight even about? It's about their manhood, basically. Like, oh, I'm a stronger guy than you, or you're weaker than me, kind of thing. So I was like, what are you really fighting about?
I don't know. And it also is super annoying because then Devin later apologizes and is like, I'm sorry I brought this toxic environment into the house. And it's like, you're not actually sorry. You had fun poking at them, and now you're worried that it's going to come back and bite you in the butt because they have a really big alliance.
I feel like Devin has just got to be like so bored in the house that he's doing this for like entertainment because yeah, throughout the entire fight, Devin and Kyle were like laughing and like yeah, I don't know. It's just like they're definitely bored or something.
Yeah. It just like I get it because Devin doesn't really seem to have any friends in the house, so it's not like he can sit down and play a card game. But
You can sit and stare at the wall like watching paint dry or something. So I mean, picking fights with two like sort of not that intelligent people, like people that would be poked and aren't like stable enough to not like stable enough to realize what Devin is doing. I feel like everyone else in the house realizes like, yo, Devin is just trying to push your buttons. Like, don't let him push your buttons. But like Bessie and Josh can just not handle someone pushing their buttons.
it's so dumb too, especially because their partners are always just like, dude, walk away. I just like I feel like their egos must just be so fragile if they can't walk away from a situation they know is going to turn out badly for them.
Yeah, which at first, like Josh came in all level headed. He was trying to get Fessy out of the situation. I was so surprised because Josh just like inserts himself when like things don't revolve around him and he like gets in fights with situations that aren't even about him. And then I was like, it turned around and then Josh was throwing water at Devin and Kyle and it hit the camera and I was like, I was so proud for like 2 seconds of Josh just like chilling Fessy down, and then nope, and Josh goes like wild also.
I just don't understand why they're so mad about it either, because he's just saying like Big Brother sucks. So
And I don't know. I feel like even like Big Brother people will like have qualms about the show. Maybe it's because Josh is like a winner of Big Brother that like he takes so much offense to it. But I feel like even super fans of any TV show can find like the pros and the cons of any kind of show. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting when Devin was talking about how much he hates the Big Brother Alliance. He didn't mention Amber B in that group. So I thought that was interesting.
I didn't even know Amber B was from Big Brother, so
That's how much not screen time Amber B has gotten.
yeah. I just feel like it was one of those things where it felt like the same argument that we had like 2 episodes ago. It didn't really lead to anything. So
Yeah, sort of honestly felt maybe like a fake out. Like, okay, Devin got in this fight. Maybe Devin's getting thrown in. Maybe Jay is still getting thrown in. So, sort of like an editor's way of, okay, it's not so straightforward, everyone. We have another like person up for elimination, even though really it's probably not going to blow back on Devin. But we go into the deliberation where everyone is sitting on the couch. And Teresa says, CT, you are the person that spread all of those Darrell rumors. I have the receipts. I know the exact outfit that I was wearing when I told you this. Which honestly, if you heard Teresa say that, I feel like it should have been a red flag, because if Teresa is like verbalizing that and she says that she's keeping receipts and she remembers the entire conversation, what she was wearing, what day, what time it was, that's a little bit fishy if you are like trying to work with her, because like, yo, if you remember all of that, that looks a little bit sketchy.
I mean, she said that she was taking notes, and I guess like does everyone take notes about the conversations that they have so they can remember it? Like, is that a part of the challenge that people just like do that? Because if that is like something that a lot of people do, I wouldn't think that was sketchy. But I don't know.
I guess I don't know either. When she said that, I figured mental notes, not like writing it down on a notebook.
I don't know, just because I feel like one of those things where if you're having a lot of strategic conversations, especially if you're lying to people, maybe you need to write that stuff down so you can remember who you've told what.
Imagine though, like someone steals your notebook and then reads all of your notes. Oh my God, that would be so bad.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, not good.
Yeah, so we see Casey and Leroy go into the little outside house and they saw Jay and Teresa get voted in. They notice that Fessy didn't vote Jay and Teresa in. And then we see that Leroy might want to go in. And I was like, cool. If Leroy didn't want to go in, then Nam would be the next in line. And he was really sad. He was like, I don't want to go in against my best friend in the house. And then it's sort of like, yo, don't have a best friend in the house, Nam, because we saw the past few episodes, you and your best friend get voted in together to compete. So I just felt so sad for Nam if he had to go in against Jay.
Yeah, at least it wasn't like Fessy, where Fessy put himself in against his best friend.
R.I.P. So, yep, we go into the crater time. It is the exact same elimination as Ashley and Natalie did from the premiere episode. And I just thought it was odd that they were reusing challenges, maybe because of the pandemic and they have like less materials and stuff. It's a lot easier to just reuse the challenges that are already built and like move them into the crater. So that would make sense. But this is the exact same challenge, but it's like 3 times the obstacles and twice as long.
Yeah, I would have at least like tried to make it a little different. Like it just seemed kind of, I don't know what the word is, lazy, I guess. They
I guess
just
like
they didn't even change the coloring.
Considering that Ashley said in like an Instagram live or something that it took them 45 minutes to complete their challenge. That is like what, 2 times shorter than the one the guys did this week, and the guys did it in less than a minute. I was like, wait, what is happening?
Well, part of it is the guys got to see the challenge and know the strategy of it already. And I feel like that challenge is a lot about a learning curve and also a lot about momentum. Or once you start going, it's like a lot easier to keep it going. Whereas, like, one of the things that the girls were having trouble with was they didn't get enough momentum before they reached like the hump things. And then it was really hard to get over those.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. I think this challenge, it's like skills, sort of like you need to have upper body strength, you need leg strength, you need coordination to like move your arms and legs at the same time, and you have to have like the rocking speed. And also, Ashley was saying that she kept falling out of the harnesses when Natalie and her were doing it, so they had to like keep rehooking her back in, which is like why it took so long. So like maybe if they didn't have those technical difficulties, it would have been shorter. And maybe they fixed the challenge so when the men did it, they wouldn't fall out of the harness. So it's just sort of weird all the way around. But the same challenge, we see Jay and Teresa are the compromised agents. And then Leroy is the first person to throw themselves as a double agent into the elimination. And I was like, okay, cool. That is awesome. You're the first one to do it this season. Go, Leroy. Like, good for you, because everyone else has sort of been maybe a little nervous, not the right time, but you know, the gold skulls are disappearing, so you sort of have to do it now or never. And I feel like after Cam getting her skull last week, what better kind of like story, luck, happenstance that like Leroy gets it the week right after.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say luck since he was the one who made it that way, but I don't know. It was a cool story.
Yeah, a cool story for the future, I guess, when they talk about this show and season, like, they got it back to back. Like, that's pretty cool. So I think with this challenge, you know, Jay is probably going to be pretty good at it in general because he rock climbs and like he's leaner, so he has less like weight to throw around to like carry on the challenge. And like he won the hanging challenge against Asaf last season, and like that's grip strength and stuff like that. And honestly, low key, like I feel like Leroy is probably one of the only people who could have beat Jay at this challenge, because I feel like if you put Jay up against like, I don't know, I feel like even Jay would have beat Fessy. And I feel like in the YouTube after show of the challenge, Fessy does say that Jay would have beaten him in this challenge kind of thing. So honestly, just sucks that Jay is in there with someone who can beat him in the challenge. And Leroy has done a very, very similar challenge like this in Battle of the Exes too. So like Leroy sort of knows what the challenge is like.
Yeah, and I guess you can argue that's part of why he went down because it's like you're not going to put yourself in a challenge you think you might lose. So,
Yeah, so honestly, a sort of sad, hard challenge to watch because two people that we are rooting for are in there. Want them both to win, you know, how maybe something happened and both can come back, but that's not what happens here. And honestly, I feel like with the editing, it was just so annoying. Like, okay, after TJ said it was only a minute long, like, why did they stretch out the entire challenge to be 5 to 10 minutes? And like, they kept cutting back to scenes and clips that already had happened. So, like, at first it looked like, oh, like they're so close together. Leroy and Jay are like super evenly matched, and then like Leroy super speeds like down and back before Jay, and then I was like, what the heck? And then like Leroy teleports backwards in the next clip, and I was like, if it's only a minute long, just show us the whole elimination. Stop editing it like this.
yeah, because I think that would have been cooler, and then you would have been able to see more of like how the actual challenge went down. I guess part of it is because like they need to keep us in suspense for longer, but it was kind of dumb.
Yeah, give us 5 extra minutes of strategy, you know. Let us just, or after your 5 minute of edited challenge episode, like elimination, just show us the whole minute, or like post that 1 minute clip on YouTube, because I felt like while watching it, I was like, oh, the girls' elimination of this took a long time, so this one is going to take a long time. And then TJ is like 1 minute, and I was like, wait, it would have been so cool to like watch everyone's reactions in real time when like they literally zipped down and back so quick.
Yeah, I think it would have been a lot cooler, but it's fine.
We just can't have nice things. So honestly, I feel like voting in Jay this week, it does make sense to make them pay for the move that they did last week. But also, I feel like it doesn't make sense, because if Jay and Teresa are like public enemy number one and like Leroy and Cam are beefing with Jay, maybe this strategy doesn't work in the challenge, but like it works in Big Brother kind of thing. But like if you have someone that you hate or like you're fighting with, then you keep that other person around. So you're like, okay, me as Leroy and Cam, I'm not going against you, Kyle or Corey, because I hate Jay. So every time I win double agents, I'm going to throw Jay in there, or like I don't want Jay in this house. So like if you have a public target, then maybe, you know, like it keeps you safer. So, but I mean, maybe that strategy doesn't work in the challenge.
I don't know. I feel like that might be one of the things where, because the challenge one day is like a year, people wouldn't actually believe that you'd beef with someone for that long. So
Yeah, so sad nights. We see Jay in the after the challenge little talking session. He's crying, felt so sad. His final words, he was like, he wasn't playing his own game. He started playing someone else's game for a second, and then it came back to bite him. And it was just so sad when he was crying and talking about his family and stuff. I feel like we haven't really seen much of like his background in the challenge, but like from Survivor, like we know more about him and his background and his family. So just so sad to see that he realizes where he messed up, and it was because he was like helping Teresa out and playing Teresa's game that like he was the one to fall for it.
yeah, and I hope that he gets asked back again, just because like it does kind of suck that his first season he was screwed over by being a rookie, and his second season he was kind of screwed over by their twist of it being a partners game. Because like I feel like by now Jay would play a really good singles game in the challenge. So
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like Jay is like friends with a lot more people as being like a non-rookie anymore. Like him and Cam and Leroy are all like close now. Like they don't actually have beef in real life. So I feel like going on multiple seasons and making these friendships is good for future seasons.
yeah, and I think if he has enough fans who like him, it's a good shot that he might end up coming back again. So.
So Leroy wins. He gets to pick partners. He stays with Casey. Makes sense. Cam said, "Don't pick me." It doesn't make sense if you and like your partner, relationship partner, are going to be partners for the final. I feel like might as well spread out the wealth. So like if they both did make it to the final and they weren't partnered together, they can get more money than like if they put all of their eggs in one basket.
Yeah, though Leroy did make a comment that made it seem like he did want to be with Cam, or yeah, Cam for the final. So I don't know. Maybe they'll end up together if like one of them gets sent in again. So yeah, I think I'm kind of interested because it seems like they've wrapped up a lot of their plot threads, I guess, because Jay and Teresa are no longer the antagonists. Devin apologized for being a jerk. I guess the only thing still outstanding is that like Teresa CT feud that might end up coming back again if CT and Darrell end up having beef because of it. So I guess it's not as clear where next episode will go.
I agree. I feel like a lot of the major plot line storylines have sort of got wrapped up. We see Corey and Teresa are like together now, so like maybe that could be interesting. Like, does Teresa still carry this like weight of people disliking her, and would that blow back on Corey? That could be interesting. Fessy and Corey apologize. So, like, maybe they're friends in the game, but maybe not friends in real life. And I feel like we might see, like, CT try to go into eliminations, but I feel like in Cam and Leroy's YouTube videos that they do, they were saying, like, some of the strategy of the season was that they didn't want to send CT into elimination because they're trying to prevent him from getting a gold skull. So I feel like it'd be interesting to see if we see more of that strategy of like, okay, let's prevent someone from going in so they just get like axed out at the end because they don't have a skull, they can't run TJ's final. And also the strategy of like, we're saving people for easy skulls. I think that would be interesting to hear about.
Yeah, and I do wonder because that means that if someone like CT is the double agent, he's going to have to put himself in, even if he's not sure if he can win the challenge, because that might be his only opportunity to win a skull. So
yeah, like I feel like that's so interesting. I really wish we would have heard some of that strategy, and maybe in the future with like more of it coming up and less players around that they can talk about that other strategy, because I don't know, it's just so interesting. Like, do you throw yourself in, do you not? And Yeah, I'm excited for the future. It seems like there's so many more episodes left to come.
Yeah, I have no idea how long seasons of the challenges are. So it's just a mystery every week. I just go to my DVR, and if there's an episode there, I watch it. So, yeah. Let us know in the comments down below. Do you think that it was fair that production decided not to count somewhere between 5 and 8 votes? What's your opinion on that whole sitch? What was your read on that whole situation? Do you think that it was what Rachel said and the vote outcome actually didn't change? Or do you think that uh, eliminating votes did change the outcome? Just because, like, that whole thing, we talked about it a lot at the beginning of the podcast if you don't remember, but that whole thing felt kind of fishy to me. But so we'll see you guys next week with more talk of the next episode of the challenge, and we'll see you then.